I've always had an interest in working with women who have been incarcerated, because in my work with abused children, I often said, if we don't give these kiddos a chance to heal, it's going to be with them forever. And so my experience told me that oftentimes women end up being incarcerated because of abuse that they've experienced as a child, or the kind of traumas that they were exposed to. I grew up in Chicago on the southwest side in a very Irish Catholic ghetto, if you will. We were middle class for sure. My dad often worked 2 jobs. I have one brother. He's younger than I am. I think we were poor and we didn't know it, but that was okay. So I was a teacher. Actually, that was my goal all of my life, was to be a teacher. I was going to teach. I was going to travel. That was it. And I was teaching. And then in 1965, the city of Chicago announced that they were going to be giving an exam for female police officers. But it was kind of like, oh, well, let's see what this is about. Took the test and passed. My goal when I left teaching to go on the police department was that I would go to law school, because I'd always had an interest in the law. So I was a police officer 11 years. I was in the youth division because when we started, that's of course what women did. They went into the youth division to work with children and families. And then I was promoted. I was a vice investigator. And then in 1977, I left the police department and entered the Adrian Dominican community in Adrian, Michigan. What is important that I then went to graduate school, and I came here, that's how I got here to Houston, to go to graduate school at U of H to get a master's in social work. I think the thing that was so interesting to me was I got down here, and it was like a whole different experience. But again, I was in graduate school and was planning to go back to the Midwest, and I had a teacher who said, you ought to go over to Family Service Center. They have a child abuse program, and they're looking for a therapist. And I said, oh, no. I did that when I was the police. I have no interest in continuing to, because as a police officer, I investigated child abuse. But what I discovered was that a really unique program where the therapists from Family Service Center, the police officers from the Sheriff's Department in the city of Houston, and the social workers from Children's Protective Services all kind of worked together on these cases, which was very different than my experience in Chicago. And it was so interesting that I stayed here and got the job working in child abuse, helped to found the Children's Assessment Center, which is the county multidisciplinary child sexual abuse program. But always I knew that I would say, if these kiddos don't have a chance to heal from their experience, they're going to live with this forever. So in my mind, I already knew that there were people who were not having the opportunity to heal, and I knew where they were going. They were going to jail. They were going to the streets. They were going into addiction. So that's always, it was an awareness that I had. And so when I left the assessment center, I thought, I wonder what are we doing for women here in this community? And so I started to go out to the women's prison as a volunteer. And my idea in the beginning was to have a mentoring program where we would connect people from the parish with women coming out. Well, it didn't take me long to figure out that, these women don't need a mentor. They need someplace safe to live. They need the kind of structure that they didn't have growing up, and the kind of structure they're not going to find when they come out and end up going back to the same old neighborhood, the same old people, places, and things. And so that really is how Angela House started. Trying to find a place that we could welcome women, that we could do the kind of programming we wanted to do and that we felt was needed, and then to move on from that. And that's pretty much what we've been doing. Angela House is a facility that welcomes women coming back into the community after incarceration. Our whole goal is to help women to make a healthy return to the community, to give them the kinds of supports that they need to be able to move beyond whatever it was that took them to incarceration in the first place. So we're a program that focuses on recovery, because most women in this state have been arrested on some related drug charge. So we're a recovery community. We want them to know that this is a process that doesn't happen just overnight. It takes time and it takes energy. And so we work really hard at giving the women both the time and the space and the energy that they need to be able to make a return to the community.
Angela House was a safe environment. It was somewhere where I could go to sleep every day and it was safe for me. And that's what affected me the most. If I didn't come to Angela House, there's a good chance I wouldn't be here anymore. My life was headed straight downhill. I was homeless before I came to Angela House. I wasn't in a good condition at all. If I were to have gotten out of Harris County Jail and not come here to Angela House, I would have been on the streets again with nothing, making bad choices just for survival, not knowing I could do any better with myself.
I got incarcerated for possession of drugs. I had a 12-year sentence. I did 6.5 years on it. I was released. I violated a couple of times, and this last time I went to ISF. There is where I was given the information to come to Angela House. I feel if I didn't get accepted to Angela House, I would have went back to my old ways. I would have went back to drugs and alcohol eventually. I've been to several different transitional homes. There's nothing like this place. What sets Angela House apart from other transitional houses is that they actually offer a program that you can work to help you transition back into society, to be a productive member. I feel that I have goals that I can actually obtain, I can actually reach. I feel like I have the right support team now in my life to get me to where I want to go in my life. I feel like I'm actually going to make it in my sobriety for a chance.
What I love about Angela House is that it recognizes the worth and dignity of each woman, and it is convinced and does a good job of convincing others that everybody can change, that we are not over when we think we are. I find it encouraging, inspiring, and as a pastor, it is a living example to me every day of what resurrection means.
Well, I think what makes Sister Maureen special, started long before Angela House as, working with the Chicago Police Department as a police officer, undercover police officer, and I think her being a Dominican sister, and it's about social justice. And that's where her heart is. And you cannot get around that because her heart is always there. She knows how to come up with a really good program and how to make things work. And she knows how to persuade people to give money to her causes. And Angela House has been a huge cause for her from day one.
When I look at our numbers and I see that we've served, over 500 women, that's remarkable. No matter if they spent 1 day with us or 2 years with us, there was an impact because they came to a place where they knew they were welcome. They came to a place where they were given the opportunity to make the changes that other people felt they needed and that they maybe felt they needed themselves. That in and of itself is going to have an impact. The future of Angela House, I think, has no place to go but up. We know that this is a program that works, so there's no reason for us not to continue doing what we're doing. But we also know that we need to have next step housing. We need a place where women can make that transition, maybe not to total independent living, but to a place where they can begin to kind of test their wings. So that's my hope, is that what the future is going to be.
I think of Sister Maureen as a giant among women. To just even think about her starting this house. If there was one word that I would use to describe Sister Maureen, it would be angelic. Because when I walk in every day, I just want to make her proud of the work that is still going on. Again, I don't think people really understand the task and the sacrifices that I'm sure that she had to make to get Angela House to the place that it is now. It was so selfless to pour herself into making sure that the women that she served then and that the women that are still coming through all of these years later have an opportunity for a better life. I respect and appreciate that, and I want to as well, just to be able to make an impact the same way she did.